Hello to all. This is the November-December edition of Berkshire Light, otherwise known as Photographing Berkshire County. I'm your host, Thad Kubis, and this 30-minute photographic tour of the Berkshires is put together in part by myself and also with the great assistance of CTSB located in Lee, Massachusetts. So I've been living in the Berkshires for over 30 years. I've been practicing my photography profession for a lot longer than that. And besides being a very active photographer working in some very, very broad verticals, travel and leisure, manufacturing, financial services, banking, sailing, and sports and education, I offer a full range of training and instructional capabilities, both online and in person. I teach smartphone photography, which has really overtaken most of the industry. If you have seen some of the statistics out there, the big camera companies are all reeling from the destruction of the low-end business with smartphones. I got my new iPhone 15 Pro Max before I went on my workshop trip to Italy, and it is an amazing concept and an amazing camera. I use it, again, as a balance between both my traditional systems, my Canon and my Leica systems, and as a backup to both of those. In addition, I teach photography for film, large format, composition. I do some basic Lightroom and basic Photoshop sessions, and I offer a variety of workshops, which I'll talk about in a minute. What I'd like to do is I'd like to teach in person, since I really think photography is much more personal, and I've been considering the idea that photography is something that needs to get the you back involved in it. And so I've been using a hashtag, getting you back involved in photography, because I feel that smartphone photography has sort of separated ourselves from that concept of what photography once was. So I host a variety of photographic workshops. I just finished one that was held in the second week in October in Tuscany. It was an incredible week-long event. We went on a variety of daily trips to at least a minimum of 2 locations each day, plus great breakfasts, great lunches, and even better dinners. Some of the images you'll see behind me over the next couple of minutes are all taken from that trip. And if you like additional information about my 2024 workshops, please feel free to email me at thad, T-H-A-D, @tbkphotos.com, or you'll see the crawler in you'll see my website and my email on the crawler below. Okay, I also offer a free service called the Berkshire Senior Photography Group. And what this is a group that has been developed by me to allow people who are retired in that senior age group to go on active photographic walks. And I emphasize the word walk because we don't do any extensive hiking. The idea is to focus on the ability to take wonderful pictures for people who like to go into the woods, the trails, the forest, but these are not stress-filled walks. Normally we do 1 every month in the summer or in season. 2 every month in the summer or in the season, and 1 every month in the wintertime or off-season. I'm waiting to announce a snow walk as soon as the snow is on the ground for December. So keep in touch with me, keep on my website, check my social media. I am on social media at Thad Kubis or at TBK Photos. I'm on Instagram at Thaddeus13K, and that I always announce my hikes and walks on those media. So I originally had planned to talk about Bartholomew's Cobble in Ashley Falls. But since winter's upon us, I thought that, you know what, it might just be better to keep people out of the woods, ice, etc., and sometimes snow, and they're not prepared for it, that I would talk about a very, very favorite subject of mine, and a favorite subject of many of the people who I teach. And at the various schools like Berkshire Art Center, Monument Mountain, and some different locations in Connecticut, talk about the various towns that we have what I call nearly world famous walks. So what my topic for today, for this November, December function is going to be the towns in southern Berkshire and beyond. And if you hear a cough on occasion, this is the time of year that I have a cough for weeks and months on end. I've got a cough drop in my mouth now. Hopefully I will keep it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with going to Ashley Falls, the southernmost part of Berkshire County. We're going to go slightly north to Sheffield, the town that I live in. We're going to go a little bit to west to go to Egremont, and then we're going to go back north to get to Great Barrington, to Lee, Stockbridge, and Pittsfield. And today I'm going to be including Hudson, New York, because Hudson, New York is a town that I've been constantly asked to go to, and I've gone to over many, many years, but now it just seems to be a huge desire to go there again and again and again. And which also brings me to the point of, I'm calling this Berkshire region, Berkshireopolis, because as we change as a county, I'm seeing more and more interest in the towns and the areas within Berkshire County, but also outside of Berkshire County. I get a lot of requests to go to Western Massachusetts. I get a lot of requests to go to northern Litchfield County, for example, the town itself. I've been getting requests to go to Hudson, to go along the river. I've been getting requests to go into southern Vermont and even southwestern New Hampshire. So I'm sort of coining the term, maybe I'm the first one to coin this, what I call Berkshireopolis. So the Berkshires to me are really something that it's a rural landmass or rural region that is slowly but surely becoming a little bit more urbanized, which again, I don't have a problem with. It just actually decreases some photo opportunities and increases others. And again, I call this Berkshireopolis. And I'm thinking about a book, maybe it's called Berkshireopolis. In any case, I may have been the first person to use that term. We shall see. So our towns are visually diverse. Berkshireopolis, for me, offers a broad creative observation, an observation deck that includes people, but is also loaded with many of things in life that are beautiful. There are endless amounts of still lifes. There's geometry, there's religious centers, there's this whole animal life, there's shapes, there's shadows, there's tones, there's light and form, there's monuments, there's reflections, cemeteries, there are farms, and traditional and not so traditional architecture. I also find the Berkshires as an exciting land of farms because these farms have been around here for generations, and some of them have an incredibly vintage look and feel to them that is certainly worthwhile capturing. I've also found in my travels around Berkshire County and the area around Berkshire County, there are many rotting, endless number of foundations that once housed mills or housed farm buildings or home buildings that are no longer around. All you need to do is to be aware of it, look and see it. And that's something that I really stress when I give courses, is that you need to be aware of what you're doing and you're taking pictures, and you want to consider that. Archaeologists on occasion use a statement that basically says, you will not find what you're not looking for. I believe in that to a degree, to the point where I tell many of my students, and I follow this myself, to go out with a theme in mind, but not only that theme. Allow yourself to be variable and find other things that relate or don't relate to that theme. We also have in the town, besides all these different traditional locations, we don't have subways like the big city may have, or major bus lines, but we have Metro North, we have Amtrak, we have regional buses, terminals, and much more. There's also an extensive freight line that runs literally up and down Berkshire County. What's nice about these train stations, there's one in Pittsfield, and there are a couple of older ones in the towns, that the one in Pittsfield has a really unique palette of people. Some people are very active, some are sleeping, and some of the other locations just provide great backdrop for great photography. So for me, Berkshire, part of the Berkshireopolis, is dotted with the ruins of a once very impressive industrial manufacturing base. Today, those buildings are being converted into condominiums, museums, or conference centers. So you have a limited amount of time before you're going to be able to get one. You'll hear about the one in Lee that it's going to be converted to a conference center. So you really need to get out there to get these shots before those buildings become something much more modern. Okay, so here's my list of towns that I'm going to focus on today. Ashley Falls. If you've ever been to Ashley Falls, you'll notice that Ashley Falls breaks off on Route 7. And then Route 7A takes you downtown Ashley Falls along the railroad track, which is an active railroad track, so if you're going to be on it, be careful of it. But there are so many unique opportunities to photograph the railroad track itself, the ties, the rusting, the reflections on the railroad track, and the panoramics about that. And you'll see some of them behind me that I've shot over the years. Ashley Falls is a very small town with a very magical, wonderful feeling. The older part of town, which is near the post office, near the town square, has a variety of beautiful older homes. Again, if you're going to be photographing homes, you have to ask people's permission to use them, and certainly you do not want to tread on their property. But in the older part of town, there are a bunch of old churches, there are old homes, there are some that are being renovated that run along Route 7A and also run along the railroad track. In the southern part of town on 7A, there's this dilapidated greenhouse that I've been meaning to photograph, and I'm going to do that probably in the next couple of weeks, but I will ask permission first. Again, I don't want to get on someone's property and using photographs and find out that I violated some sort of trust. In addition to the traditional parts of Ashley Falls is also the home of Bartholomew's Cobble, which I will highlight probably in the January edition of Berkshire Light. But Bartholomew's Cobble, I was the ranger there for I think 3 seasons, is a wonderful place to get an introduction to some very basic and sort of moderate level hiking, and it has an incredible view from Herbert Hill that if you can get up there at sunset or at sunrise, again, it's a trustee's property. You should check with them about when they're open, but it's a wonderful sight to see. And I find it to be a great place just to wander around endlessly. So we're going to Sheffield, the town that I live in. Sheffield is undergoing a modernization. And whether I like it or not, or whether people like it or not, it's good for the town, it's good for the people in the town, is becoming less of a farm-based community and more of a destination. In the town green, we have a pizza parlor. We have a bakery, I understand soon to become an ice cream parlor. We have a deli type business that was opened up in the southern part of town. And there is a series of gray buildings south of the green that I understand are going to be converted into some sort of maybe condos in the next couple of years. So the town's changing. But the town by itself has so much of uniqueness to offer. First of all, I happen to like photographing cemeteries, and there are a variety of cemeteries in Sheffield that are certainly worthwhile photographing. You'll see a photograph of one of those cemeteries coming behind me shortly. This shot that you'll see was taken with a pinhole camera, and it was also taken, I shot it again with a infrared filter, so it has a very, very unique feel to it. If you want to get into Sheffield in great detail, you want to go on the off-roads. So one of the main roads is Bow Wow Road. Bow Wow Road will take you past another great cemetery. But in addition to that, Bow Wow Road will lead you out to Route 41, and it will lead you back into Sheffield along Berkshire School Road. And there's a variety of these dirt roads there that just have a feeling of their own. The negative is that during the winter season, these dirt roads become, if it's snow and ice on the ground, become a little bit difficult to drive upon. But driving through the dirt roads either on the west or the east side of Route 7, which again runs right down the heart of Berkshire County, is really a treat to explore. You will find across Sheffield cars that are riding on property. You'll find farming equipment. Again, if you're going on property, ask for permission first. If you're heading north on Route 7 through the town, turn left on Miller Avenue. Miller Avenue will take you around to Bow Wow Road. You'll be passing this beautiful mill pond, which has a small dam waterfall, which is worth photographing. Problem is, you can't park anywhere near there, so you have to be prepared to move your car or park somewhere else and walk there. But it also brings you around to the mill pond itself, which any time of the year is a gorgeous place to photograph. Mill Pond will eventually lead you up through Bow Wow Road into another part of town, and it just keeps on going on and on. And there are both detailed vistas and there are vistas and detailed vistas that are just wonderful to photograph. Make sure you visit the Sheffield Covered Bridge, which is, when you're going north on Route 7, is north of the town. There's a sign there. You make a right-hand turn, a little dirt road. It's a rebuilt construction of the original bridge. But what's nice about it is the Housatonic is right there. And nearly every time of year, except when the mosquitoes are out, is worthwhile going. On the other side of the bridge, there's the UFO site that sort of made Sheffield famous for a while, but in any case, it's certainly worth going to. Okay, now we're going to Egremont. So Egremont is not a favorite town of mine, but it's not because it doesn't offer stuff. It just, to me, it doesn't offer enough of stuff, but I really haven't explored it to the level that I should. But if you're driving Route 7, turn left on Route 23, or turn left on, I think it's called Sheffield Egremont Road, and you come to downtown Egremont. I love downtown Egremont because of the reflections. I like the many windows that face the road. Problem is you don't see a lot of people, but there are just endless amounts of reflections and different types of architecture along the main part of the road. When you get to the junction of Route 23 and 41, if you turn left, there's a beautiful lake that has as the background, I think it's Mount Washington, but it's a beautiful place to catch sunsets. So if you really want to try it, by all means. If you want to go to the king, the queen of sunsets in Berkshire County, you have to go to Baldwin Hill Road. So when you're driving through Egremont on Route 23, when you pass by the Old Mill Restaurant and the post office, the next right-hand turn you can make, I think it's Baldwin Hill Road, probably west. Turn right up there. You get to the top of the hill, hang out for sunsets. It's phenomenal. I have hosted multiple photographic sunset classes there, and they're all worth your wait. Certainly, it is something to consider. Now we're coming to the big town, Great Barrington. So Great Barrington, by some, I've been told, is a new capital of Berkshire County, or the capital of Berkshireopolis, using my terminology. GB offers a defined cultural area, which you'll see most towns do as well. Loaded with people. Again, I love reflections, architecture, coffee shops, restaurants. It has a beautiful Mahawi Theater in the Marquee. There are side streets. There's an old train station up on top. There's a tunnel that goes underneath it that's certainly worthwhile visiting. There are an endless amount of commercial mixed with residential, and now with the pot shops that have made their way in, it adds a new flavor to the town. You also should find the residential areas, which are both on the east and west side of Route 7. If you go to the west side of Route 7 and you go up to Lake Mansfield, certainly a wonderful place to take photographs any time of year. There is a very short, maybe half-mile trail to the right of Lake Mansfield that's worth it. But Lake Mansfield itself has a boat drop, a beach, certainly worth any time of year to get some very, very unique and unusual photographs of the Great Barrington area. What I like to do in Great Barrington is, even up to this time of day or this time of year, I will sit outside a Fuel, which I'm told is being sold, have myself a cappuccino, sit on one of their outside locations, and with a long lens, usually a 200 to 300 millimeter, photograph people walking across the streets just in the act of being people. If I'm done with that, I will actually walk up Railroad Street, which to me offers the best reflections in all of Berkshire County, because the storefronts all have very, very large windows. But the key with all these locations is you want to go there in the morning, you want to go back there midday, and you want to go back there in the evening, because the palette of light changes so dramatically. The forms, the shadows, the light itself is so different each time of day, and literally each of the seasons. You should certainly consider that. I'd also consider photographing Great Barrington and all these towns at night. The nighttime photography is a little bit difficult for most. This time of year it is cold and you got to get outside and you don't want to, but it offers a uniqueness of the town that you don't see during the daytime. You have limited car traffic, but using a long shutter, you'll have these light trails. The intensity of the colors of the lights of the buildings are all out there. And this time of year, because the lights that have been put on the trees to celebrate Christmas and the holidays is an added benefit. So my suggestion is do it all day. Do all these towns all day. One of the other things is that Great Barrington doesn't end by Domaines or by that Brown Bridge. It goes forward past that. It's called the northern part, and it brings you to the more commercial section of Barrington. But again, there's a variety of wonderful sights and to see and to photograph there as well. Now we're into Housatonic, which is my overall favorite place to photograph in Berkshire County. Why? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. Number one, I like the rawness of the town. The town has a beauty to it that is both in its vintage look, in some of the decaying look, and some of the modern areas that have added into the town. So I find it to be spectacular nearly every time of day or night. There's the river. The Housatonic runs right down the middle of it. There's a bridge that goes over the Housatonic, which provides some beautiful photographs, and you'll see, again, examples of those behind me nearly any time of the day, any time of the year. When you park your car near the park area, you could cross underneath the railroad bridge, make a very, very quick left. You're going to go into a tunnel area. That tunnel area is going to bring you out to where, if you look up, you're going to see the most famous part, in my opinion, of Housatonic is the water tower. Offers a lot of great shots. You continue to walk past the water tower, you'll see there's the old generating building and the Housatonic behind that. That old generating building is being rehabilitated. So in the summer there's activity, in the winter there's not so much. But on the right side, the back side or the north side of the old generating building, the windows are slightly boarded up, but there are some beautiful shots of textures, shapes, and forms, and again, almost any time of day or night. One of the greatest shots, and you'll see it behind me in a moment, is shooting the railroad tracks low. Now you got to remember, this is an active railroad, so you want to make sure you're aware of trains coming both north and south, and I would say just be careful about that. But I've gotten some great shots of using a wide-angle lens or a wide-angle setting on my smartphone or my traditional camera, using resting the camera right on the rail and shooting out. And there's a photograph of that behind me at this time. In addition, if you use a longer lens and you get down on the track, you could zoom in and zoom out on that, and it takes a totally different visual aspect of what you see. This time of year at around 3:15, the 3:30, the sun is low in the sky. It provides this beautiful, beautiful orange warmth to the mountains on the other side of the river. Up on top of that is, I think it's called Flag Rock, and you can make it out, but it has a glow that just emphasizes the redness and the decaying wood of some of the old station buildings that are in the town. The town by itself has beautiful houses as well. If you do a circle around the town, you'll see a myriad of older buildings, newer buildings, buildings under construction, a gorgeous library that is just finishing some of the rehabilitation that's being done. And at the end of the day, there's some great shots of the water tower and the town from up on top of the hill. I think that might be Front Street, or no, it's Main Street. Pleasant and Main Street gives you a shot into the town. So look at it. It's one of my favorite, it is my favorite spot in the Berkshires to photograph. So now we come to Stockbridge. If you are on, or if you are in Housatonic, you can go up Route 183, which takes you into Stockbridge. Stockbridge is possibly the most famous town of all. It has the Red Lion Inn, and it has a lot of activities that are known throughout the country and throughout the world. I meet some of the most unusual people walking the streets of Stockbridge from all over the world. Stockbridge Main Street is limited in scope, but there's a lot of going on there, particularly with the Red Lion Inn. If you've never been to the Red Lion Inn at sunset or sunrise, you should be there. It adds a whole nother depth to the building, and it also adds a whole nother depth to Main Street. Sunrise and sunset offers incredible glow on the many stores that are on both sides of the street. My favorite side of the street is the north side of the street, where the cafe and the church and a couple of other buildings reside. It's just a feeling of uniqueness. And where on the other side of the street, the south side of the street, it's a little bit touristy for me, but by the same token, it's worth spending some time. Also, don't just stop there. If you go down Route 102 to where the town hall is, that offers some beautiful shots, and there's a shot behind me of that now. Also, I like cemeteries. There are some beautiful cemeteries to photograph. When you're done downtown and you're making your way back, let's say the Red Lion Inn, go past the Red Lion Inn, go up to the town hall. You can park your car there. There is a short trail in the town hall that leads you to the Mary V. Flynn Trail, which is a very magical 1.5 mile round trip, very simple trail to take that goes over the Housatonic River and gives you plenty of seasonal shots of that whole area. If you want to add to that, there are 2 other hikes you could take. One is to Laura's Tower, a little bit longer, a little bit more aggressive, and the other is to the Ice Glen, which is again a little longer and a bit more aggressive. But all 3 of these are beautiful places to go, and Stockbridge offers them for you. Now we're going to Lee. Lee is called the gateway to the Berkshires. There are a lot of reasons for that. One is that it's the entrance, the exit on the Mass Pike that brings you there. But Lee is also one of these towns that's undergoing a significant change. There are a lot of pot shops being developed, a lot of new businesses coming in. Businesses are moving from one location to another. But more importantly, the town has a truly home feeling of the Berkshires. The main street, which is literally anchored on the south side by a large white church and a town park area, is a great place to walk around, stroll, take pictures of people who are walking through, maybe walking their dogs. But in the summer, it is the key activity area of the town. There's a short downtown section that leads you up to the Housatonic River. You'll see as you approach that the old mill on the right-hand side of the road is being converted. Right now it's under construction. There is a cyclone fence blocking you to get into it, but there's a number of areas with a long lens. You can take some really pretty shots. By the same token, if you continue to walk along the road, get to the bridge, there are some great shots of the Housatonic from that bridge. If you want to see the magic of Lee, in my opinion, is go to Railroad Street, which is the street behind the main street, which also borders not only the river, but it sort of borders the train tracks as well. Again, live train tracks. Down there, there's a rustic feeling of old Lee, and I like to shoot it a lot. So I've been down there many, many times. Lee also offers the opportunity to get you to October Mountain State Park, which is a little bit outside of town, but it also offers a unique opportunity. So right now and this town, Lee, I've shot this a lot. I used to teach photography at the Lee Library. I found it morning, noon, and night, or sunset, are just unique times to be there. But that's something that all of the towns in the Berkshires offer. Hey, now we're going into Lenox. Lenox is unique in many, many ways. Number one, when you get to Lenox, there's a different feeling of visual stimulation, for me at least, in Lenox. You've got the area where there's a large hotel opposite a memorial to veterans from various wars. There is the town itself, the main town. There's a beautiful park on the left-hand side as you're going, but it also ends up going back onto Route 7. But before you get onto Route 7, there's a gorgeous white church on the left-hand side and a gorgeous cemetery to photograph. But possibly the most attractive part of Lenox to me is the diversity of its architecture. You could walk through all the different streets. For example, you could walk through Walker Street, Church Street, and Main Street and find 8 or 9 different types of architecture. Some relatively modern, some sort of vintage, but you'll find them all. You'll find people during the season in the inns having lunch. But this time, off season, there's a uniqueness of the town as well. Again, without saying, I'm gonna say it again, reflections are gorgeous in this town. Wintertime is great for reflections. It's just something that the town offers uniquely. If you want to go and do some more exploring off of Tucker Street, it's about a half a mile walk out of the town. There's, again, beautiful cemetery on the hill. Cemeteries are, as you can tell, are of attraction to me, but it's not only the cemetery has the attraction, it's the uniqueness of some of the monuments that have been there from probably the early 1800s. If you go down Cliffwood or Sunset Streets, you'll see a variety of architectural photography that will excite even the most bland composition just by waiting for the right angle of the sun. As I said, the large park on the town, the large park in the town on the left has a great place to sit. It has a beautiful wide area. During the season, there's a great number of people shots that you could do, but just behind the park, the architectural variations are quite unique. So try Lenox when you get a chance. Well, we have Pittsfield. So, and if I'm missing towns in between, it's only because I don't have the time to do this. I will do a segment on the hill towns and some other towns. I've been up to Windsor, I've been up to Peru, I've been to a lot of those photographing, and that will be in a following session. But Pittsfield, by the way, I have this love and hate relationship with Pittsfield. It's sort of like, I love to hate it and hate to love it. It is unique. It is the true essence of what I define as a city. It is architecturally okay. There's a lot of change going on in there. The North Hotel has revitalized that area behind it. There's the train station that, as I mentioned earlier, is a great place to get people pictures. If you walk up and down Route 7, you're going to find people on scooters, in wheelchairs, walking, hanging out. You'll find groups of people hanging out on corners. There is a variety, a myriad of older buildings, newer buildings. It's like a trip through time. One of the things I like about Pittsfield is this diversity. It is, to me, the only city in Berkshireopolis that is really defined in my mind as a true city. If you start walking down at the Colonial Theater and walk up to BMC, the medical center, you'll see what I mean. But it doesn't end there. You can go a little bit further north and you can get to the border of Lanesboro and Pittsfield, and you got Lake Pontusic on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, on your way up there, you got the high school. You've got one of the atriums that is a botanical gardens type of atrium that is worthwhile photographing in the summertime. But more importantly, it gives you a very diverse look as to what a Berkshire town can look like and feel like. If you go back to the heart of Pittsfield and you go over to the Commons is a rehabilitated area, beautifully done. During the summertime, there are a number of farmers markets there. But I teach a class up there in the wintertime, and the wintertime there's a uniqueness there as well. There's a diversity of both a visual diversity and a palette diversity of a lot of different things going on in Pittsfield. I think Pittsfield is one of those towns that is on the verge of becoming something very different, but I think it's worthwhile capturing right now and enjoying that. When I think about Pittsfield, I think about Bernice Abbott. Bernice Abbott, I always get the first name wrong. She captured New York City in a very unique and different way. She went high, she went low, she did high angles, all with a fairly large 4x5 format film camera. I feel that Pittsfield is that kind of city. It's that kind of city where there are a lot more angles to consider. And I look at Pittsfield not in a negative way, as a monochrome city. I like black and white photography. My best black and white photography, and you'll see some of this in the background, is of Pittsfield. I just find it to be unique in a lot of different ways. As I mentioned earlier, if you look at the richness of Abbott's imagery, get a book of hers out of the library, you'll see what I mean. It's quite unique, quite enjoyable. I think the black and white imagery of Pittsfield actually excites a color activation in your own mind. My summary of sorts. So if you decide to look at Berkshire, if you decide to look at Berlin, a symphony of the city, starting all over again. My summary of sorts. If you decide to look at Berlin, Symphony of a City, or look at Walker Evans or Berenice Abbott, or I think it's Robert Schiller, and then Gary Windelgard, Gordon Parks, you're going to be inspired by a lot of visual excitement that are all available here in the Berkshires, or in the greater area called Berkshireopolis. My suggestion is that if you're going to go out shooting, you want to have obviously a camera or a smartphone. You should be carrying with you, if you're using a camera system, you should have your lens protected with a UV filter. This way you keep the dust and the dirt off the lens. If you have the opportunity, get yourself a polarizing filter, a neutral density filter. They will help you get greater tonal range and better color and sunrises and sunsets. They're also available, by the way, for smartphones. There are a variety of companies that make filters for smartphones. You can use them as well. If you're using film, it's a great place for film because the rawness of film matches some of the locations of the rawness of Hudson. So I hope you've enjoyed this session of Berkshire Light. I will be producing and recording the January issue shortly, and I think it's going to be on Bartholomew's Cobble, but I changed things a lot. If you want information about who I am, check the crawler. My email address is stad@tbkphotos.com. My website is tbkphotos.com. Have a great day, and please, if you have any comments, positive or negatives, get them to me. Thank you, CTSB.